All right, Dr. Mustafa, we've entered in a very polarized moment right now as a country, and looking back from where we're coming from, there seems to be a very huge gap when it comes to reconciliation. And I know you are a conflict and resolution expert, and this is your area of engagement. What should we as a country really do? Because it seems this is just epitomizes what is really deep and underneath. There is a very, a very cold undercurrent that is running in this country that has not been dealt with. And every 4 or every 5 years is when we get this cycle really coming to the fore. How can we move forward as a country, bearing the fact that we have this history also bearing down with us, that these particular conflicts, they're not just happening the other day, but it's being carried from even the days of independence. One community, rising against the other.
Debarl, thank you. Very important question on reconciliation. Before I answer that, I want to talk about the numbers of people who are dead.
Yes.
I think this is a question that you asked earlier. And we need to be very careful and clear here in when we are saying so many people have died. Not every individual that has passed on or was killed during this time of elections were as a result of election-related deaths. There are many cases where, criminals, like I just want to cite one here, 2 people who were gang raping a woman on South Pass in the southern bypass. These are criminals, and they kind of lured this woman into a motorcycle. They're going to give her a lift, and they were armed, and somehow the police were informed because the lady was asked by the gang to send money to her, and instead the husband went to the police, and they went there with the police when they wanted to, they challenged these people. They actually shot at the police, and they were killed.
Yes. Those
2 are not elections-related deaths. These were criminals, and we need to be very clear on this. There are, however, elections-related deaths, and it's very important that the police actually isolate those ones and tell Kenyans how many Kenyans died as a result of the elections that seem to be disputed by one party. On reconciliation, Debarl, reconciliation can never happen overnight. It's a process. It's going to take time. Unfortunately, we have started on a wrong footing, Debarl.
Yes.
And the idea of Kenyans about reconciliation is kind of flawed. And it is flawed in the sense that for Kenya to be reconciled, then we must have certain communities or the bigger tribes must ascend to the helm of power, must produce a president. Now that's where a problem is, because today, if the argument is that the Kikuyus and Kalenjins have produced presidents in this country, and that the Kambas have not, the Luyas have not, the Luos have not, if we are to use that as a premise of argument that for this country to be reconciled or for us to move forward together, then we must have a Kamba president, then we must have a Luo president, then we must have a Luya president. Then what will the other smaller tribes say? This argument in itself actually aggrieves the smaller tribes, the Somalis, the Taitas, the Mijikendas, because then they will actually never produce a president. Now, what the country needs to do, and the Kenyans need to understand this very clearly, is that we need systems that are working. We need systems that are working, systems that do not then put certain tribes ahead of the others, as is the case right now. There's a lot of tribalism in the selection of jobs and those who actually serve.
So the question is it the systems or the people who are running the systems? Because it seems the systems are not the problem.
No, the system is okay. We have the constitution, which is very clear. We have laws. It is the people that are running the system.
That's where we have the problem.
That's where we have the problem. And that's one. The other bit is just the Kenyans themselves. And that we think that if my person if I elect a Kikuyu to become the president of this republic, that I as a Kikuyu who is a peasant somewhere in Gatundu or Nyeri is going to benefit. It never happens. It has never happened like that. And this is why the elites are taking advantage of the people. And therefore, because they can do whatever they want to do, and after another 4 or 5 years, they'll go back to the people and lie to them and paint certain communities, you know, kind of satanic, if I may use that word, that if so-and-so becomes a president of this country, then you're going to suffer. You know, the very community that is being lied to is the community that is going to lose. I've seen in Rift Valley, I've seen how, you know, Tugen, today, President Moi was a president in this country for 24 years since 1978, was a member of parliament, I don't know, since 1957 during the Legislative Council. The poverty that is there in Baringo today, and this is what we see in terms of the conflict there, is phenomenal. And yet there was a president there, supposedly from their own country. There are only a handful of people who actually gained from Moi's presidency then. And Kenyans need to understand this. Kenyans need to wake up that it does not matter who is the president of this country. And the problem today and the dispute today that we are seeing seems to come from the presidential elections. Now, Parliament, Jubilee has 2/3 majority. Even if Raila was to become a president, can easily be impeached. Even if Somali was to become a president, can easily be impeached. What we want to see in this country is that the way electioneering is done, the campaigning, is not, we don't sell the presidential seat as a tribal seat. We need to sell it as a seat. We need to present it as a seat that unifies Kenyans.
All right. Okay, let's say from...
But Debarl, the question of reconciliation, I want to go back to the institutional aspects of it, is that we had a Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. Yes. Now, and this is where I differ with some people. We have to look at that report. It's very important. We should not just say that if we are going to implement the TJRC report, then it's going to, you know, take this country down. No, it's not going to take this country. Let's then open up this report and look at the areas that we think, if it's implemented, is going to take this country down. I suspect that the elites of this country do not want to see certain elements of the TJRC report being implemented because they were the direct beneficiaries. And those are issues that we need to isolate, and we need to be honest, and let us go back and address those issues that the report has come up. If there are aspects that is going to be a very serious, issues are going to become a threat to national security that are there in the TJRC report, let us isolate them and then find a way to redress or repackage the recommendations that are in that report.
Right. Let's hear from Dr. Leleruk. First of all, you can tell us about the Hello Kenya initiative. Of course, you've been in this forum before. And I think like 4 months ago, we were here talking about Hello Kenya and the business community and what you were planning so far in trying to pitch the message of peace. But we never felt that you're very aggressive so far. Maybe the media never covered this much of what you're doing on the ground. And we felt this is coming a little too late, even as we're heading towards the general election. Right now, what you're trying to do is to try and stem the situation that is down, especially in the slums right now. Do you think this message that you're trying to relay right now is coming a little bit too late?
Yeah, thank you. I think I agree with you that sometimes we have a tendency as Kenyans to come up with quick measures to address a situation when it's almost happening or when it has already happened. So at Hello Kenyan, you know, we started this peace campaign last year, and we're looking at, you know, how do we bring everybody on board to have the right thinking about elections and the right intention of, you know, having clear understanding, because sometimes I think given various experiences of election chaos, we're like, you know, we are used to it. 2002, 2008, 2013, small, you know, at small level. But it's like this time round, Kenyans who are waiting for elections with a lot of fear and assumptions that it's going to be chaotic. even more than how it was in 2008. These were the discourses that were being fronted from all quarters. So at Hello Kenya, we were saying, how do we fight these negative narratives about elections and really help people to believe that it is possible to have peaceful elections in Kenya? And the problem, as Dr. Mustafa has said, is that this has become generic. After every 5 years, it's like a cycle. You know, election has been almost synonymous to violence. After every 5 years, there is violence. So I think where we are going wrong is that as Kenyans, we are forgetting whom we are. Sometimes I think we should just try to re-identify ourselves as Kenyans. Are we Kenyans really? Do we feel that really we are Kenyans? So that we can even have the right understanding of every other event, not just elections. Because all security-related problems is as a result of, you know, losing ourselves. We forget whom we are as Kenyans. So I think to begin with, elections have been taken for granted by most of us. We take it as an event it's a conquest, you know? It's an event to show might. It's more or less of ethnic conquest vis-a-vis political conquest. And this experience tells us all, it's not a political contest as such.
Yes.
Because 6 million strong voted for NASA all over the country. How is it that we have isolated cases of violence in particular areas that are largely occupied by particular ethnic groups? I know various counties that have voted NASA, even above 50%. And we don't see violence after elections. So I think it is becoming an ethnic conquest. Election has been narrowed down to something that is more or less of ethnic, as Dr. Mustafa said. Luos want to be the president, Kikuyus want to be, Maasais want to be, Kambas want to be, to have a president. So, and I really admire presidential aspirant Aukot and Dida. I mean, they don't rally behind their ethnic groups. So basically, I think where we are going wrong is that we are more ethnic than even nationals. We don't have that sense of, you know, feeling that we are Kenyans. And I think at Hello Kenyan, we've been going by the slogan that I am a Kenyan. You know, we want every Kenyan to feel that he's a Kenyan first, then belonging to an ethnic group, maybe second or even never. And therefore, patriotism is where we are going wrong. We need to be patriotic in order to develop our nation. Right. Unless we are patriotic, then again, the nation Kenya doesn't mean anything. And that's how even police are trying to fill the gaps. Because when we allow the state of lawlessness, there is no nation called Kenya. So rather, I'll say that as much as the police service is not appreciated, the hope and the strength of a nation is lawfulness, to abide by the law. The moment we lose that, then we don't have a nation called Kenya. And therefore, what are we doing as a National Police Service or even at Hello Kenya is that, yeah, we've come a bit too late, but the Inspector General of the National Police Service has commissioned a survey, National Election Peace Index, that started on 5th of this month to 21st of this month. So the objective of this baseline survey is to determine the most peaceful county during elections and the most peaceful informal settlement during elections, so that we cultivate a culture of peace, even counties to compete. That, you know, during elections, my county or our county was the most peaceful. And the awards will be done on 21st of September to coincide with the International Day of Peace. So we hope to launch another program called Kenya Renaissance. I mean, New Kenya, where Kenyans have a sense of belonging, a sense of nationhood, because that can really go a long way to ignite a sense of, you know, patriotism, right, that we have a nation and we have a people called Kenyans.
Right.
So basically that is it.
Captain Wanderi, don't we also have very deep-seated feelings, especially when we're called to be proud to be a patriotic Kenyan? But truly, who is a Kenyan? Because if we drill deeper and ask ourselves who truly is a Kenyan, we're not aware who a Kenyan is, right? Is he a Kenyan that maybe he's pegging his hopes on certain, doctrines that are enshrined in our constitution? When we are saying that we should be a Kenya who abides by the law, yet we have other Kenyans who, maybe because of their elitist nature, they are walking roughshod on these particular laws and the tenets that are enshrined in the constitution themselves. But who truly is a Kenyan? Because I think these are sentiments we bandy around, especially after elections. We talk about peace, we talk about you, Jivunia Kwa Mkenya, but they're Kenyans who they're feeling they're disengaged from what actually a true Kenyan is supposed to be. First of all, is a sense that, yes, we are the polarized Kenyans. We have the 80 who are the majority and the 20 who are ruling. We talk about, and we've been discussing this also, of the Pareto principles, right? People who are actually holding and owning Kenyans. So when you say, let us be proud to be Kenyans, which Kenyans? Is it the elitist or the marginalized Kenyans?
Debarl, this is, you have asked a right question, because this is a matter I'm very passionate about. And I also want to disagree with Dr. Mustafa. The system is not right, Dr. Mustafa. The system is wrong. And the system may lead to the collapse of this nation. We are trying to build a nation out of disparate peoples, nations, and nationalities who exist within the territory known as Kenya. The territory which exists, or which exists a matter of law as a territory as of 1927, when the Kenya colony was declared. And the Kenya colony ordinance was signed by the then Queen of England. Something here we need to be very then king, not queen. There's something here we need to be very careful. It is true that our politics have become very ethnic. Why have we gone to that direction? Former President Daniel Arap Moi warned that if we go multi-party, we are too young as a nation, we will get into ethnic competition. His prophecy has come to reality. We saw that in 1992, people voted. It's only in 1992 where we had a semblance of nationalism, where in fact you find the then candidates who are competing against the former president, one of them managed to get a very large chunk, in fact, outside his region. And that was the Honorable Matiba. He did get a lot of votes in Rift Valley and Western Kenya, Nairobi, and Central Kenya. After that, in 1997, we went to ethnic cocoons. 2002, we had an opportunity, a constitutional moment, which we did not take advantage of. And we had a government that came in all inclusive with certain promises. Of course, we know what happened in the 2005 referendum. Then in 2000, which led to the unfortunate events of 2007. Then in 2010, we had a constitutional moment. The people who are given the mandate to amend this constitution did a great disservice to this country. And history will judge them very harshly, including Dr. Ekuru Aukot. Professionally, I ask him this question. Debarl, there is a good reason why our neighbors, the United Republic of Tanzania and the Republic of Uganda, have collegiate executive leadership. Executive leadership in our Constitution, under Article 130 and Article 152 of the Constitution, simply revolves around the President, the Deputy President, and the Cabinet. In Uganda and Tanzania, the executive leadership revolves around the President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, and 2 Deputy Prime Ministers. And I want to explain this to viewers very slowly so that they can understand. There is a reason why these countries historically went that way. And before Uganda got into the mess it got and resolved it, the summary questions of ethnic competition had taken center stage in their country. Tanzania has been fortunate to avoid this, except the skirmishes they had in 1964 in Zanzibar. Now, the reason these countries have gone that way is because of what they call the ethnic composition of their countries. Mm-hmm. They do not have what you call a majoritarian ethnic nationality. What they have, just like us, are significant minorities. When you have significant minorities in a country, and this is why some people don't feel Kenyan, you then have to cobble up an ethnic coalition to seek the executive power as defined under Article 130 and Article 152 of the Constitution. Because you can know, the Kikuyu can't get it alone, the Kalenjin can't get it alone, the Luo can't get it alone, the Kaba can't get it alone, the Luya can't get it alone. They're the big five. Mm-hmm. Because the highest among them is the Kikuyu with 21, 22. Okay? Even if they are backed by their cousins from Mount Kenya region, the farthest they go is 31%. In population. That means they are simply a significant minority, and equally the other groups. Now, why in Uganda, even when they enacted a constitution in 1995, mm-hmm. they did not provide for the post of the prime minister in the constitution. But right now, after 2006, the post has been enacted into the constitution. Why? Because you must accommodate competing ethnic interests. There is nothing wrong, Debarl, of anybody belonging to the ethnic group. That we must appreciate. Yes. Ethnic diversity is a strength to any country. So we must appreciate each and everybody. But how do we accommodate everybody? We have a constitution who has structured an executive that is not consistent with our ethnic demographic reality. And that is a problem here. We can keep talking, we can keep hypothesizing and saying everybody should be Kenyan, but I would want a situation where if we are going to compete, let us compete on ideology, not using ethnicity as the basis for mobilization to just get the centrist power, which has been the case. And if we do not resolve this problem, mm-hmm. It occurred in 2013, where we had the coalition of two communities, yes. aided by others, they got power. It appears that in 2017, that has been extended to other regions. But we, at the same time, are conscious of the fact that we have 45% of the population feeling that the results do not reflect, or they do not reflect their wish. Now, even without getting into politics, our political architecture, as defined in the Constitution, is not sustainable. And I want to submit this, that if we do not resolve this issue going forward, mm-hmm. we will have the same problem we have had it in 2007, 2013, 2017, it's going to recur in 2022, it's going to recur in 2027, and it is time. And this parliament, if what I've heard Dr. Mustafa say, that one of the coalitions has gotten 2/3, then I would tell them to invoke Article 255 of the Constitution. You do not require a referendum to change the political architecture of the country to amend Articles 130 and 152. Mm-hmm. They can do it. They can talk to their colleagues in the opposition. They can all agree so that we don't have an ethnic
so what
group
are you trying to tell us
is
the political architecture of this country is emanating from the Constitution?
Yes, which is wrong, and it is not consistent to our ethnic demographic reality.
Which part of the Constitution is this that we do have? Because basically, naturally, we are an ethnic composition as a country.
Yes, if you
and the tapestry of the mosaic of this country is also the ethnic composition.
Yes, if you read Article 130.
130.
Yes, the national executive is the president and the deputy president and the rest of the cabinet. Then sub-article 2, the composition of the national executive
shall reflect the regional and ethnic diversity
of the country.
Of the people of Kenya.
Then you go to 152. In 152, the cabinet consists of the president.
Just a moment. 152, yes.
The president, the deputy president, the attorney general, not fewer than 14 and not more than 22 cabinet secretaries. That really defines the executive power in this country. That is the central power at the executive. We tried in 2010 by having a vertical and horizontal distribution of this power. Vertically, we created devolved units. Governors got certain powers. Horizontally, we created a myriad of commissions and other bodies to reduce the power of the presidency. But this was the wrong thing to do, because you were trying to resolve a problem that the problem we have here is the feeling of marginalization on the basis of ethnicity. And until we resolve that and we get the bull by the horns, that if, for example, every community knew that, that they would be represented at the top, there wouldn't be this type of a competition that is a matter of life and death.
But it is at the behest of the politicians that we do have.
Yes, and the politicians...
The Constitution will not really address this, because the way it is, of course, is trying to be all-inclusive. Yeah, right? Diversity and inclusivity, I think, is what we can read from the Constitution itself.
It can, but you see, Debarl have already explained that even Uganda tried that. They enacted an act of parliament outside the Constitution, letting the president share power, not just with his vice president, but with the prime minister and 2 deputies. But along the way, the people who would get that position would feel it doesn't accommodate everybody. Remember, Uganda had a series of conflicts from 1966, after the overthrow of the Kabaka, all the way to 1981. So by the time they change their parameters, they have got to deal with those ethnic realities.
But looking at the reality of it, how sustainable can this be? Because at the end of the day, at that big power, we cannot include all the tribes at the end of the day. There has been a debate about rotational presidency, but will that be also a very good idea? Maybe people should actually, soldier on with it and try and maybe structure it in a way that it cannot be secluding. I don't know, or maybe taking so many years for someone to actually realize the presidency, or a minority tribe to realize the presidency.
But the problem is we're only looking at the presidency. We're only looking at that one position.
Because that is a ticklish office that we do have in this country.
And it need not be, because if the president of the Republic of Kenya is to follow this constitution, and if we look at the roles, and it's outlined in the constitution, section 131, the president shall respect, uphold, and safeguard this constitution, B, C, particularly section 131D that says, shall promote respect for the diversity of the people and communities of Kenya. If we have a president that is going to respect section 131D, then we will not be having these problems. And that's why I know Wanderi I say that he differs slightly with me in terms of that the problem is the system, is the constitution. And I say the problem is not the Constitution of Kenya. It is the implementation of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. This constitution is by and large okay. It is good. And the constitution envisages, for example, within the Kenya the Kenya Defense Forces, that all tribes or ethnic communities are actually represented somewhat in the defense forces, and at the top echelons of the forces, you cannot have, for example, certain number of generals from one tribe. It kind of limits, and that is the challenge is that the problem is we go and vote as fools and sheep that are herded into that voting booth, and go and think that if I elect a Kikuyu, that I as a Kikuyu am going to gain. It doesn't happen. If I go and elect a Kalenjin or a Luo, that I as a Luo am going to benefit. No, it will not happen. If whoever wins is going to really do what they're supposed to do per the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, then Kenya is going to gain. That's our fundamental problem. I want to look at Wanderi and say, if I'm going to run as a president of the Republic of Kenya in 2022, and maybe I should, I am multicultural. I do not represent any particular tribe in this country, but it is because of my thinking, my ideology, my reasons to run, and what I say I'm going to do, my doctrine, that Wanderi is going to actually vote for me and is going to actively campaign for me. Same as Dr. Lele Rook is going to do the same as an Omondi in Kisumu is going to do for me. The problem is that we are so pedestrian in our thinking about presidency.
But is it pedestrian, or this is a generational issue that we're dealing with? Right, but maybe moving forward, because we have the millennials who are really coming, and they don't really subscribe and identify with the, you know, ethnic balkanization of his country. They intermarry. Is when now we come to general election, they realize, oh, truly, I'm a Luo, I'm a Luya, I'm a Kikuyu, right? But they have been born in a cosmopolitan, maybe, environment where they play together, they've schooled together, you know, they church together. But when it comes to election is when now we can see everyone tearing away to their ethnic cocoons as well. Is it a generational issue that we're dealing with that needs to be dealt with right now? And I think as a country, we cannot even lose this moment and just gloss over things and talk about peace and moving on forward unless we address this issue. And I think every cyclical electioneering period we bring brought here 5 years should be an inflection point as a country for us introspectively to look inside, to realize who we are as a country. Why do we miss this moment, Dr. Lele Rook? Every 5 years we lose, and then we talk about the same things every other time.
Yeah, as I said, we've lost our identity as Kenyans, particularly.
But do we have an identity even in the first place?
We do. I want to disagree on that. We do, because there's no way I can think myself as a Tanzanian or even a Somalian, somebody from Eritrea. No, my identity is Kenyan, and therefore, if that sinks in me and in everybody else, then we are likely to find a common platform, all of us, a common ground where we say, what is our interest as Kenyans? I mean, how do we move forward as a country that can afford basic needs for each and every person? So basically, I think we need to...
Yeah, but looking at this country, we may differ with you a bit, because they have some guiding philosophies that they truly follow. We know of Julius Nyerere that actually was trying to bring about the issue of socialism, that we neighbor one another, we care about our neighbors. Trump is now trying to push forth, you know, the America First philosophy as well, that we think about America first, then other nations, you know, they'll tag along.
Not in isolation.
But we as a country, what is our guiding philosophy? What is our guiding post as a country? That if I say I'm truly a Kenyan, then this is my guiding post.
Yeah, basically we look at our national values and we look at our
symbols. Of which you do not know. And all of you will agree
national
with us
flag.
Here.
We have one flag as a nation. We don't have two flags. We don't have that.
No, but we're talking about values, right? That is a flag that is a symbol of unity and of course of identity as a country, right?
We have one territorial, you know, ground, and that is Kenya. And therefore, as Kenyans, we need to look at, you know, what are our values? Do we love one another? Is there peace? Because we heard of peace, love, and unity, and they don't mean anything anymore. And without that, again, we're not headed anywhere. So I think for me, we need to find ourselves and position ourselves as, you know, people with, you know, one territory and with one destiny. And there is that interdependence in us. If we act irresponsibly today, simply because of an election process, then we all lose. If we act responsibly, we all gain. And therefore, our future depends on our cohesion as a people. And our destiny depends on our actions today. And therefore, we need to ignite that spirit of nationhood and feel that, yes, we only have one nation called Kenya. We mess with it, then we mess with our future, and we mess with our destiny. So to me, I have no two thoughts about it. We need to feel more Kenyans than ethnic groups. Mm-hmm. And if we do that, then again, politics will not be an issue. Because we have politicized everything, yes, which is okay, but we have ethnicized even politics. So ethnicized politics will give us, you know, we will put our interest as an ethnic group first, vis-a-vis the general outcome. Right. Exactly.
Okay. We need to also to be giving our headline thoughts because I want us to make headway. Because I think when we come every day and we ask questions and we share this, I think it's just we are talking shop.
Yes.
And I think we need to come to the place where we should be tired with the questioning that we have, maybe even in the media houses, even as journalists ourselves. We ask questions, but do we get the prime solutions to these questions? Or it will just be another show, another day, and we've had a good day. And of course, nothing is really coming. As a country, we need to come to that point where we say, yes, we're in a morass. We're tribalistic, we're ethnicized. Going forward, what is our guiding philosophy? Are we still looking ahead, but we're seeing, you know, mirage? That you were talking about peace, but this peace seemed to be very elusive. It's just a holy grail. Debarl, as we're winding up.
Debarl, there are nations that have existed for 1,000 years. We have the French, we have Belgium, we have Netherlands. Now, if you go to Belgium today, the biggest question is one of the French Belgians and the Flemish. They are lingering questions, and we almost have two governments in that country. It's a small country. Why do we have this? One of the things I want to tell our people as Kenyans, nobody should be made to feel ashamed of his ethnicity. Your ethnicity is your God-given right. You should be proud of it. Other nations in other countries, they are proud of it, and they protect that special heritage. And that is why that part of Belgium almost vetoed the agreement between the European Union and Canada because they have special rights within that country, even membership in the EU. Now, we have smothered the whole question, and I'm happy you've talked about millennials, telling them, no, we are not tribe, we are not this. That will not happen, because if that were to happen, then countries that have existed as almost pure nations and ethnicities would have been subsumed. But that has not been the case. We have got conflicts all over the world. Even today, in Spain, which has existed for a very long time, the Basques want to separate. We have got the Catalonians who are also claiming that they would want to separate. Now, why? Just because of a difference in language. Let me come closer home. Today,
bearing the factors of a short of time.
Yes, I now want to finish with this. The Federal Republic of Ethiopia is a country with 15 flags. The national flag, which is a federal flag, and 14 flags of regions which are purely created on ethnic basis. And to create this, they fought for 29 years, from 1962 to 1991. We don't want to get there. And what were they dealing with? What I said, the political architecture must conform to the ethnic demographics. If we get short of this, if we do not use this historical opportunity that we have, that the Deputy President and the President have, with the numbers they have gotten in the National Assembly and Senate, then they will have missed the boat to change Kenya forever.
Thank you. This is a moment. We should not gloss over things. Dr.
Yeah, we shouldn't. These are serious issues. And yeah, I want to agree with Wanderi on one count that we need to address it. We should be proud of our of our own ethnicities. We should not, you know, put it down. The thing that we should be ashamed of is that if I'm going to that ballot, to that voting booth, and the only reason why I'm going to vote the candidates that I'm voting for is because of their tribe. Kenyans should be ashamed of that. And we also need to learn from our neighbor in Tanzania. Why is it that anybody can become a president in Tanzania or can hold high position and can actually be voted? The super bigger tribes like the Sukumas, I'm not sure that they've ever produced a president in Tanzania. We need to ask ourselves this question: what did Tanzania do right?
Right. They do have one,
yeah.
The Sukumas? Right. Let's hear from Dr. Larry. Right.
I'm not sure if we read our constitution, and I will want to quote Article 10,
yes.
Our national values.
Yes, yes.
What unites us, what makes us, you know?
Yeah, we will not get the time to read all of it.
Exactly.
But,
national values, patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people, human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginalized. How many of us think of the marginalized, the so-called marginalized? How many of us are patriotic?
Thank you. Thank you.